I'm really nervous, but I guess that goes along with being vulnerable. But it's Bell Let's Talk Day, so let's break the barriers and let's talk. Hello and welcome to the Out Cold Ox Show. If you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. You're very, very welcome here. My name is Michael, aka The Ox, and this is my channel, half based on hockey, half based on mental health and addiction. So welcome. So today being a really special day, being Bell Let's Talk, I thought what better day to start this half of my channel than today. You and I, we're going to take a journey. We're going to follow multiple years of my life and see how I went from this little guy to many years later where things weren't going so well for me. I'd like to share a very, very Reader's Digest version of my story. Addiction is it's a big part of my story, as well as mental health. You know what, let's just get into it and we'll do it rapid fire style, try and keep up. Okay, before we start, a couple of quick housekeeping things. Number one, this channel is not affiliated with AA at all. I might be, but this channel is not. Number two, I am not a medical professional. If you're having issues with mental health or addiction, there are lines to call. I will look them up. I will put them in the description for you. Make sure you speak to a medical professional if you're having issues. Number three, my story is all from my perspective, to the best of my memory, as I said. So bear with me, and I hope you get something out of it. So, where to begin? It's always been the most difficult part for me. I grew up, mother and father, older sister, younger brother. I grew up very close with all my family. Just your average, ordinary kid. Parents were teachers, sister's 2 years older, brother's 5 years younger. He might have been a whoops. We loved him anyway. I guess speaking of my brother, there's a unwritten rule. As soon as you have a younger sibling, as soon as you see them, you feel you must protect them. They're yours to look after. The big brother rule. Our story kind of starts here. At 12, my sister being 2 years older, she was 14, she was caught by my folks drinking. I remember as a 12-year-old being completely disappointed in her and just in awe. I couldn't understand, why would you drink alcohol? That's insane. I don't understand it. And I remember her words back to me were, you know what, just wait and see. When you're my age, you'll do it too. I was like, I'll bet you I don't. There's no way. And those little words right there started something kind of cool. My sister bet me $50 that I would drink before I was 19. And I took that bet. I don't know how it happened or how my folks heard about this. They were totally behind that. They said, you know what? You make it to 19 years old and we'll give you $1,000. And like 12-year-old me's like, word got out and my grandmother heard about it. She offered me $300 to make it. Went a little further, my aunt heard about it. She offered me $200 to make it to 19. I made it to 19 years old, never having had a drink. And everyone paid me up. And guess who the last person to pay me was? That's right, my sister. But she did pay me. So, I'm 19 years old, decided to try out the whole alcohol thing. Admittedly, I overdid it a few times. Then came university. I've always been a very shy person, strong silent type. Alcohol gave me the confidence to really come out of my shell. looking back, very telling of where life was headed. Needless to say, that did not go over well, and I actually had to leave the university. That's what I call spiral number 1. So we jump into the workforce. These are what I call the blurry years. I don't have a great memory of what happened between the years of 20 to 26. I do recall that I worked a few different jobs, dead-end jobs. I remember feeling completely, terribly depressed. My relationships were garbage with everyone. And drinking whenever I had the funds to do so. I was a very difficult person to be around, not likable whatsoever. And so decided to join the rigs. Moved down to Weyburn, lived with an aunt and uncle for a while, wanted my own space, got my own space, and then was alone all the time, which just left me horribly, terribly depressed. I didn't like the atmosphere of the rigs. I began drinking every night. One particular night, I was pulled over by a police officer and ended up with a DUI. So, me thinking I had completely ruined my entire life, I decided to take what money I had and move away to Burnaby, BC. That's what I call spiral number 2. I spent most of my time downtown Vancouver, drinking, kind of lived downtown, on the streets, drinking. I didn't have a problem with sleeping downtown, outside, drinking, but after 10 days without having eaten, I made the decision to make a phone call home and ask if I could get help. So I come back home. I begin dealing with my DUI charges. For the first time in my life, I went and tried AA for a change. It was tough. It was difficult mostly because at the time I didn't really feel like I had an issue, which, silly. I found it hard to relate. It was mostly older gentlemen. There was nobody as young as me. I tried my best to take it all in and take what I could out of it, but it just wasn't going to make a difference in my life at that time. So around this time, it was also time to jump back into the work world. I got myself a really good paying job, and eventually got my license back, and eventually got my own place again. Over the next year, I spent a good chunk of time working a lot of hours, and slowly but surely the alcohol just kind of crept back into my life, eventually to a point where life had become unmanageable all over again. And I ended up getting let go from that job, but now I had lots of money. I moved in with my cousin. I started working for another cousin. Began spiraling all over again. Missing work just to drink. Spending a lot of time alone in my room. Just lonely, depressed. Really hating myself. And that's kind of spiral number 3. I decided at this point that it's a great idea to join nursing school. And it was a great idea. I think I was very lucky to get through my nursing school, drinking mainly on the weekends, but sometimes on the weekdays. Kind of looked like another spiral coming. But I graduate from nursing school. You'd think I would have been really proud of myself, excited, you know, a new chapter in my life. I have something going for me now. And I didn't. I just felt hollow. I eventually ended up getting a couple of different jobs, a couple of different nursing jobs. I realized to myself, you know what, I have people's lives in my care. I can't continue to be this person. I can't continue to drink whenever I want. I just did not think that would be fair to the people I was looking after. And that worked for a while. I kind of had a system and it was going well. I guess you could have called me a functioning alcoholic. I can sustain life like this, but I couldn't. And I couldn't understand why either. Why I was continuing to drink as much as I was drinking. And why I felt like I needed to. I always felt like there was a hole that I was trying to fill with the alcohol, because I was always feeling terribly depressed and lonely. I loved my work. I loved the people I looked after. Some of the greatest moments in my life were at doing my nursing job, you know, but I just couldn't get past a deep depression and a need to get rid of it by drinking. So this brings us to April 6th, 2018, the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. I'm not going to get into the detail of that day in this video. I will make an entire video on what life was like within that 24-hour period, but not right now. My brother Mark was the assistant coach in the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. He passed away in the crash. Over the next 3 weeks, I was very much in a fog, drinking every day, just so I could feel like I could deal and be strong for family members. After those 3 weeks, people started telling me I should go back to work and get some normalcy back in my life. So I went back to work and basically just put everything I had into my work. I was taking every shift I could. Keep in mind, I'm kind of in a fog still over everything, not having dealt with any of the grief and loss of my brother. But yeah, somewhere in between May and July, I lost a patient. And along with that, I was working night shift, and along with that came my very first phone call to a family member to let them know of the passing of this lady, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I always had a difficult time separating my work from home life. I would always take bad days home with me. I struggled with that, which brought us into August of 2018, where I lost another resident, where I ended up performing CPR for the first time, which just kind of was my last straw. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it broke me. I ended up letting work know I needed to take some time off. I just wasn't right mentally. I was completely broken. So once again, I ended up alone in my room, depressed, with lots of time and lots of money. I drank to dull the pain, the grief, the anxiety. I spent months living the same days over and over again, completely in a haze and drunk. My parents were worried about me, and my mother, bless her, did a little searching for some help. She ended up finding a treatment center out in Nanaimo, BC, and gave me the phone number. That phone number sat on my dresser for about a month. One morning I saw the number and I thought to myself, I need to change something. I'm gonna end up dead. And I thought to myself, I can make a phone call. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'll have a conversation. So I called that number, and all we did was just talk. And he just asked some questions and took some information. And by the end of the conversation, he said, "So are we going to do this?" And me being kind of on my last length of rope, I said, "Yeah, okay." So it wasn't a week to 10 days later, I was headed out to Nanaimo. My father drove me to the airport. He asked me if I wanted him to come with me, and I just kind of thought, nope. I'm looking at this like I'm going off to war. I'm going to take it from here. So I got to the treatment center, and I did my original 50 days. By the end of it, I didn't feel ready. So I ended up staying a grand total of 107 or 109 days, which I'm very, very thankful for, and I'm super glad I did. Spending that amount of time being sober helped with my clarity of my mind. It kind of gave me an opportunity just to have a break from all of life and really look at what's going on and just basically scratch the surface on things I needed to deal with. So after the treatment center, I moved into a sober house. But I spent about 8 or 9 months in the sober house. It was time for me to move on, and moved in with some good friends who were also in the program. Very important people to me. And lo and behold, before I knew it, I was a year sober. So I spent that first year essentially trying to figure out where I fit in life, who I was without alcohol, trying to deal with the grief of losing my brother, trying to figure out why I had this hollow feeling and constant depression, all the while battling daily thoughts of alcohol and constant days of anxiety. So yeah, that was my first year being sober. The second year, things have gotten a little bit better. I feel like my mind is healing. I'm still dealing with many emotional and mental issues, but things are getting better. I find I have times of happiness now, which kind of just brings us to now, because I'm creeping up on that 2-year mark, which is February 14th. I finally feel that sense of pride and happiness regarding that. So yeah, yay me. Stick around. I plan to do many, many more videos getting deeper into detail of different aspects of my life. I also wanted to say questions are like really encouraged. Any questions really. Feel free to pop them in the comment box, or feel free to private message me. You can also get a hold of me on my Twitter, which is @outcoldox, or Instagram as well. You can message me there, which is also outcoldox. If there's one thing I've learned throughout all this, it's communicating with others. That is the most important part of healing and having burdens of issues just lifted off your chest. It's completely freeing to share your story, share your issues, talk to somebody. Let someone know how you're feeling. No more of this, how are you today? Oh, I'm good. And you? Oh, good. Nah, you're not. Tell people how you're feeling. Don't be afraid. We're all going through something, and it takes so much less time than you think it will just to listen, And people truly appreciate that. If there's one thing I've learned through nursing and through my time in sobriety, is people truly appreciate others who listen. And if I'm honest, that's the most healing thing that we can do to help others. Yeah, so if you liked what you saw, hit the like button. That helps me out with my channel here. If you want to be involved, subscribe. Hit that little bell notification, because I have a feeling once it starts rolling, I'm going to be popping these out left and right and center. And you're going to want to be notified so you can keep up to date with what's all going on. And if you really liked it, feel free to share this with other people. I'm hoping that in a way it can be inspirational to somebody else who's going through a really difficult time. That's the objective of this channel. I want to help. I feel like I'm at my best when I'm helping others. So share it. So thank you for joining me here on the Out Cold Ox Show, and hope you tune in again. Have a great one, you guys. Bye.